Hello. I guess we have a few things to talk about. Updates on the COVID virus and vaccines since the last time I made a video. Let's see. Poor Johnson and Johnson can't catch a break. First, there was a concern about blood clots with J&J, which was mostly in people under age 50. And then two more problems that emerged in the last couple of months, reports of myocarditis, and that occurs mainly in younger folk getting the vaccine, people in their 20s, 30s, like that. And then the latest is reports of Guillain-Barré syndrome with Johnson and Johnson. Both of these seem to be pretty much unique to Johnson and Johnson. Haven't seen reports with the other vaccines. So how serious is this? Well, myocarditis is not an uncommon consequence of viral infections and sometimes of vaccines. The COVID virus itself can cause myocarditis more often than the vaccine does. Furthermore, myocarditis tends to be a self-limited condition. That is, people may have a lot of symptoms for a few weeks, but they recover. It doesn't seem to cause heart failure or death, very rarely anyhow. It's usually just a self-limited condition. I think there may have been one fatality from myocarditis. Similarly, Guillain-Barré, that's a rare consequence of viral infections and sometimes of vaccines. It's an autoimmune disorder of the peripheral nervous system. People lose the ability to use their muscles, which can progress to complete paralysis. But again, normally people recover from this, even if they're bad enough that they have to be hospitalized. After some weeks, they gradually regain their muscle function. Well, both of these are quite rare. We're talking about 100, 200 cases. Also, there was one report, one death with Guillain-Barré syndrome after the vaccine. So your chances of dying from the COVID virus are way, way, way higher than your chance of dying from myocarditis or Guillain-Barré syndrome. Not that anybody wants either one of them. But when we're talking about 100, 200 cases we've had about 130 million people in the United States that have had at least one dose of a vaccine. So, you're much more apt to die from an auto accident than you are from taking Johnson & Johnson vaccine, for example. And you're much more likely to die from the virus than from getting the vaccine. So despite all the bad press, it doesn't really seem worse than the other vaccines in terms of its overall safety. Numbers are very low of serious complications. I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. If I had to do it over again now, I would still get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because I've had anaphylaxis before, and both Moderna and Pfizer have a complication of anaphylaxis, especially in people that have had a prior severe allergic reaction to an injection. So I don't want that. Besides, there is the simplicity of just one dose and you're done with Johnson & Johnson. So the situation remains the same for almost everybody. You're much safer getting the vaccine than you are not getting the vaccine and taking your chances with this virus. And that goes for all three of them that are approved in the United States and being used right now. So Pfizer wants to market a booster, right? They want to sell more vaccine. CDC says not so fast. We're not convinced that anybody needs a booster yet. Probably they will. We're studying it, but we're not going to rush to do boosters right now. Our real problem is that millions, hundreds of millions of people haven't been fully vaccinated yet. That's the real problem. People need to get vaccinated. So there's a delay on approving the vaccines in kids under age 12. They're saying the FDA says they won't make any decision on that before maybe the spring of next year. In the meantime, kids will be going back to school. At this point, everybody wants kids to go back to school. Yes, they do get the virus. Yeah, some kids die from it. So we've had hundreds of deaths of children from the COVID virus. We had hundreds of thousands of deaths of adults. So the risk of death, just off the top of your head, the risk of dying from the virus as a kid is 1,000 times less, or more than that, maybe 4,000 times less than if you're an adult and get it. Furthermore, the kids don't seem to be thank God, they don't seem to be very good spreaders of the virus back to families. So they are encouraging distancing and masking if they're unvaccinated kids at school, but everybody wants them to go back. Delta virus. It's the predominant version worldwide now. About 80% of new cases are Delta, including in the United States. Looks like it's almost 4 times as easy to transmit as the original COVID-19, which was easier to transmit than the flu virus and more deadly too. So Delta is a big problem. There's another version you may or may not have heard about, the Lambda version. Is big in Peru right now. The capital city of Peru, Lima, has the highest death rate per capita of any capital city in the world, about twice as high as Hungary, which is second worst. And 97% of the cases in Peru are Lambda. In fact, that's where it was identified first. Lambda has 7 mutations, all affecting the spike protein. That's what makes it more transmissible and possibly more resistant to the vaccines and possibly more serious too. But so far, Delta is the biggest problem. Lambda, they're calling a strain of interest, but Delta is sort of a strain of emergency because it's causing a whole new wave. No, the new wave probably will not be as bad as the last big spike we had in the winter, but we're going to see more and more cases, and we're going to see more deaths in the fall and winter from Delta. And it's virtually all in people that haven't been vaccinated. You may have heard that in Los Angeles County, which has seen such a huge surge in new cases, that they're reinstituting mask orders in public. Every single patient that's in the hospital right now with COVID infection were unvaccinated. There isn't one vaccinated person that's in the hospital in all of Los Angeles County. But the beds are filling up, mostly with younger patients that are very sick and they're on respirators. Why all younger patients? Because it's mostly the younger population that has resisted getting vaccinated. They're saying, oh, yeah, young people don't die from this. It's an old person disease. No, young people can die from it. So, like I say, you're much safer for almost everybody. You're much safer to get the vaccine than to wait and get the virus. What about people that are immune compromised? There's been a lot of concern about them. Well, the skinny of it is, it seems like the vaccine is as safe for people that have weak immune systems, but it may not work. Immunity is not an all or none thing. There's all different degrees of it. So yeah, there are some people whose immune systems are so compromised that they simply do not mount the immune response to the vaccine, and they're not protected against getting the viral infection. There's others that mount a partial response. So there's all gradations. If anybody's going to need a booster shot, the first group that's going to need it is people with weak immune systems, because their immunity didn't get as strong in the first place and is apt to wear off faster. That would include very elderly people too. Uh, that's about it right now. Delta virus is going strong in the unvaccinated population, and more people will die as a result.